the Puyallup Tribe of Indians, who continue to be leaders for justice in our community today.
BT RadioUniversal.com.
Beautiful morning in Washington State, Tacoma, Washington. We're here in Siembra, in VT Radio Universal, with my co-host, Pastor Dennis Gunnarson. And we've been sitting in this show for a while, so we gotta apologize, everyone. Yes. So today the subject is gonna be about love, the different kinds of love. And me and Pastor Dennis been trying to do this show forever, right? And something always happens. Something always happened on this side, on this side, that it didn't happen. But I think things happen when it's supposed to happen. Today is the day that we should, and maybe somebody needs to hear about the different kinds of love. Maybe somebody needs to know, and do the differential of love and agape love and eros love, and know what is the difference. Sometimes love is inverse, and roles are inverse, and because people don't know, or they never experience those kind of different loves. So, Pastor Dennis, good morning.
Good morning. I have to say I like the new tribal. I forget what the term is right now, but a reference to the tribal lands. That's wonderful. It is a great morning, as you can see. Mm-hmm. It's so nice and bright outside.
And it rained, and I love it. It rained. Yes. We needed the rain. They said we needed at least 7 inches of rain because it has not rained in Washington State like it normally does. So I was so happy about the rain. I love the rain.
I do too. Yesterday, I was out with the food bank, and we were out in the bringing boxes to cars. Mm-hmm. When it was raining, and then it was like, oh, come on, do you have to rain right now? But then I realized, we really need the rain.
Yes,
so we
yes.
need it when we're busy. So, but.
So go ahead. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, I know we've been wanting to talk about love, and we have most of us think about love in the context of feelings, mm-hmm. and certainly love is felt an awful lot, but sometimes there's more to love than just feelings. We're all familiar with the feelings of familiarity. That's in the Greek they use the term storge for that concept. Mm-hmm. But that's the kind of feeling we feel with our families that we're raised with, and the families that grow up in our homes. It's that feeling of familiarity. There's also a feeling of preference. That's the kind of thing when you choose a friend. This is someone you prefer to spend your time with. This is something that you prefer. You prefer certain flowers around you. You prefer all kinds of things. And that's definitely a feeling as well. But the two most common that we tend to hear about are eros, which is mm-hmm. romantic love. And we look at it with almost an expectation of too much from it. Eros is very much connected with pheromones in animals, mm-hmm. And all of the mating rituals that we have, and we talk about it in the romantic love category. But it's this drive to make myself more pleasing to you, so that you will want to let yourself become mine, and I let myself become yours. And I mean, it's a very strong feeling, but it's a feeling that you can't rely on, because there's always going to come a time in our lives when we cannot fully accept each other the way we are, because we have this expectation, this other person has a completely different expectation, and no two people think exactly the like or are complete opposites enough that we match each other fully. There's always areas where we have to grow and change and adapt. And so Eros love tends to fall apart in those kind of environments, because we don't want to fully belong to the other person. We want to be our own person. We want to be individual. But that's where the kind of love that Jesus talked about, agape love, comes in. And even in the New Age world, there is a reference to fifth dimension,
Yes.
which is the same kind of thing. But too often in the religious world today, we are so consumed with the whole Eros type of thing. And Eros is a conditional love. I love you if you will embrace me fully.
Not even that. I love you if you are part of the religion that I follow, or else.
Yes.
So
Yes, absolutely.
so it comes with tribalism too, that you have to follow and think like me and sound like me in order to love.
Right.
I think one of the things about the older I get, I see that what love is allowing other people just to be, just to
Right.
take your place and your space in this universe, and help you become, the better version of who you are. And I don't like to even use that, because I have to accept you with everything,
Yeah.
with the good is you want to call it, or the bad. So you said a feeling, but I think that feeling has to do a lot of times with the narrative, culturally, and the soundbite that's been fed to people about what love looked like. So for me, is like they have put all these rules that love have to look this way. And as you get older, you learn that, you either learn or you end up failing. I don't want to say failing, but end up not being successful in loving other people, because you come in with all those expectations that are put out there in the rules.
And that's the reason why I tried to explain the Eros love, because we tend to take that concept and pervert even the concept of agape love into a conditional love. And agape love is not conditional. It's accepting people just the way they are.
Mm-hmm. And that's kind of hard. You okay, Pastor Danny?
Yeah, I just realized that
You was fine.
I didn't have my computer plugged in.
Oh,
So-
no, you're fine.
So I was getting the battery's about to die.
Oh,
Message.
okay. You disappear.
There we go.
Yes. So, when I think of love, I think of, for me, even the love of God. Love means freedom. The ultimate sign that you love somebody is about freedom. Freedom to be. Freedom to be who you are. Freedom to choose. And I think as human beings, we have failed. And we have take the Bible and twist it in a way that it controls and manipulate people based on fear. And love is about freedom. God give us free will, and that's the ultimate sign that he loves us. When he said, you know what? You have the freedom to choose. You have the freedom to choose even to follow me and love me. You have freedom to do and to choose whatever you want to. That is love. I think that, to me, that's the ultimate sign that you love somebody.
Yes. And the Bible teaches us that we are to love, we are to believe the highest. And that is something that for a lot of religious folk, that is really difficult to do because we believe that we are inherently evil. And we have this dualistic thing where, you're either on the side of good or you're on the side of evil. And to be able to believe the highest is really difficult when you have that kind of a thinking pattern. Does that make sense?
Yes, and I'm thinking that even having the good and the bad is the bad is necessary. I wouldn't even think I said this, but the bad is necessary. Evil sometimes is necessary because it forces people to either comply or to do something. It connects people in a way. It can be in a good way. Is you're an evil person, and I have tendency to I said, let's go rob a bank, and I said I'll go with you. Or either I can join you to do good. Either I can join you to impact this world. Either I can join you to do. But again, this is about free will. Again, it's about God instinctively, he put these two things inside of us. Would you see a little 2-year-old baby and you would tell them, don't touch that. You don't touch it. Pop out. And they will go and touch it.
Yeah. Love is core to whether good or bad prevails. Because evil happens when a person doesn't believe to their core that there is anyone in their life that truly loves them and truly accepts them as they are.
Wow.
And because
that is good, Pastor
they
Dennis.
believe that about themselves, they drive them they become their own cheerleader. They come to the conclusion that if I'm going to get anything good out of life, I have to make it happen. No one else is going to make it happen for me. And so if we want to win the battle between good and evil, we have got to love unconditionally. We've got to be able to take someone who doesn't believe anybody can ever love them and prove to them that they can be loved.
Wow, that was really good.
And that is a massive challenge, because some people may never soften enough to receive love. But unless we want to give up and hand the world to the evil, we've got to love.
And I think one of the things that the Bible talk about is about love is patient. And that it is. That we talk about faith too. Faith is the things that we hope to, but we don't see. So as I see you, and I see that, and I was talking about that last night with somebody. I was talking last night with a friend, and we was talking about his mom. And I was telling him about my dad. I said, when the thing that I regret about my not having with my dad, because I didn't have had a really good relationship, but I was telling him that at the end of his life, I saw him differently. I saw him. I saw him with compassion. I saw him because, and God spoke to me, and He said, "You know what? You might never ever hear what you want to hear, and that's just what it is. Life is this. I know you want people to tell you they're sorry and that they did this or they did that. You're not gonna get it. So you gotta resolve this on your own." And I remember when God spoke to me and told me, I look at my dad differently. I also saw him with compassion. And I even saw him small. Yes, I almost saw him shriveled up and small, and I saw him with compassion. So I went back to Panama in 2020, and and like a week after me and my son went to Panama, he died. And the only thing I regret is not finding out more about him. What make you who you are? And sometimes we look at people and we judge people. Even our family, I was talking with my friend, and he has not had a good relationship with your mom. And I said, you need to find out what happened that she is the way she is. Because as you discover what happened to her when she was younger, that she became this person, then you have more compassion to see, oh my God, okay, and now I get it. So sometimes we see people and we say that person is hard or this person is not lovable, but you got to go back. You got to go back and see, put yourself and see where is that come from to get an understanding of why that person is why they are the way they are. So for me, that was the lesson. Now today I talked more with my auntie. She's the only one left with my dad, brothers and sisters. And I asked most questions about their upbringing, how they came up. I'm trying to learn more why. So I think love has to be knowing too and connecting with people and relating to people and putting yourself in that place of people. Saying, I drive back and forth and I see the homeless. That this is a health crisis that we have with the homeless. And I was thinking, and I look at people and I said, you know what? What was this person when they were 10 years old or 15 years old? You never know. That person probably owned was a CEO of a company. We don't know what happened that they got to where they are right now.
Exactly. The Bible tells us that we are to love others as we love ourselves, which is a loaded statement.
It is
because
true.
You realize you can't love others until you have the ability to love yourself. If you don't truly love yourself, what you're giving to other people is not love. It's generally conditions. It's generally manipulation. It's generally something that is not pure. It is driven by a hidden motive.
But Pastor Dennis, I had a question for you. So, is love learned? Is learned, right? You learn it from your parents. You learn it from your environment.
I think it is to some degree learned, and to some degree is modeled. You have to understand what it is to be able to embrace it. And I think that's why Jesus came to earth, was to model it for us. So if nothing else, we can at least read about it in a book and get a picture
Because
of,
I was
of what it's
thinking,
like.
I was
And,
think,
even in movies.
I was thinking as the first contact that you have when you come out of the womb of your mother is your parents, right?
Uh-huh.
And that's the first contact of love and compassion. So, and based on that, that is how you look at the world. Based on that
Exactly.
is how you learn to love. Based on that, that's how you look at people. So for me, I think it's learned in a way too, and
Oh, it is.
it is learned in a way, but also you always find people that go astray too in a family that they grew up. You have people that grow up in a family, and everybody in that family is so religious. But that person, well, one person recognizes when there is racism, when there is homophobia, they recognize that, and they will bring that to the family so the family can deal with this. But I think maybe it is learned from generation to generation.
Well, I think for one thing, love is not always pure, and is frequently not pure.
It's more not pure than it is pure.
To the ability we understand the need for it and how to do it. So a child isn't going to necessarily love purely. Children tend to love more purely than adults do, because we tend to treat our children in a way we wish everybody else would treat us. We tend to do that. And when that happens, they have a purer concept of love, and they express it outwardly. Whereas with adults, we're not necessarily that pure in our love.
So let's talk a little bit about the different kinds of love. I was looking at it too. Do you want to start, Pastor Dennis?
You mean go back to the ones I introduced at the beginning?
Yes.
Yes, okay. Well, phileo love is what we call friendship love. But when you see it used in the Bible, it's not always referencing a friend. It's referencing a preference for this or a preference for that. So it's the kind of love we love our friends from, because most of the time we pick our friends. So those are the people we prefer to be with. But family love is familial love, and familial love in some ways is wonderful. There are some ways in which familial love might hold us back. If we come from an environment where we're abused, we see a lot of what's termed the Stockholm syndrome, where we protect the person that is abusive to us. You're familiar with that term?
No, I have not.
Okay, it is a term that explains why people protect abusers.
Wow.
But it's because they're familiar. They know what to expect.
So it's a familiar place for them.
Right.
Okay.
Something that's not familiar could be worse. We don't really know.
But because they always been in that environment, even though it's not healthy, they don't know anything outside of that. So they want to be in that familiar place. It's
right.
just
because
comfort.
They're afraid of the unknown. We're all afraid of the unknown.
It's comfort to them in
Absolutely.
a bad way, but it is comfort. Yes.
Yes, it is.
So and I was thinking about the romantic love. That is one of the things
Yeah.
that I think has people has make a lot of money for that romantic love, and now we're finding more and more people talking about the language of love, their own language of love, because we have this thing about, if you don't, is your partner, your husband or your wife doesn't do that for you, then is not love. And I think and even that they talk about being a half and a half, that I don't think nobody should be a half of anybody, but it is a lot of going into a relationship, is a lot of expectations that it is put out there, and put to it makes the relationship harder, because a lot of people come in with relationships where they expect all these different things that are put out there, saying that is what love that is what love look like, and for everybody is different. And for you going into a relationship, I think that's the first thing you have to maybe ask that person, what it is love look like to you, because to everyone is different, and we come into relationships with all these different expectations. I even think when they say that you get married, and this part where it says that till death do us apart, to me that is just even crazy. Who put that there? It's just like, really, so if it is man-made, created a narrative about love that is not really feasible for human beings to follow. So I think you talk about ownership, and one of the things is that once you can be dating somebody, and men say this a lot, women too say this a lot, you date somebody for years, and once you get married, the relationship change. It's this about ownership. Once you get that paper, that contract, it feels like that person owns that other person, or that person owns that other person. That as I get older, it's not about ownership. I feel that I have to let you be, and if you being you doesn't help me, then you're not the person. Is what being you is not. Is I have to ask you to change for you to be with me, then you're probably not the person for me.
Yeah. Well, when you say till death do us part, that is a reference to agape love. But oftentimes in marriage, we don't have a commitment to agape love. We have a commitment to eros. And if one partner is in the relationship because it is familiar with that storage version of love, and another one is in there for eros because I want you to put me first. I want to feel like the king of the castle. That doesn't work. You have to be able to love each other in the same way across the board. You have to have the same commitment to love. And so to say I have to give up on it is a way of saying the way you love me is not the way I love you. And that doesn't work. And that's true. It doesn't work. If I have to be the center all the time, and you have to be the one who's loyal because of the familiarity of the situation, or because you are being grandiose and choosing to love even when you don't feel like it. We can't be owned in that kind of environment. I mean, that kind of a context doesn't work. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
You know, that we have to share all the types of love in a marriage for it to really work.
And I think when people go in it, they come in with the same kind of love. And I think a lot of times when people say, but you change, you're not the same person that you was when I met you. I said, I have to change. That's part of life. It's
exactly right.
It is about growth, and grow, loving somebody in different seasons of their life. Even love change. It changes, you know.
Yeah.
I have a couple that live in front of me. They live with their sons, and he walks like 10 miles. But the first thing he does in the morning is walk with his wife. She can't walk that far, and they are married for 46 years old. For 46. And I was talking to them. I said, I was saying, I know that you guys love change in these different seasons of your life. Even in this season of old age, it changed to a different type of love. Yeah. I think at that season of your life, I think love is even greater. Is even greater,
Well, as we change, we have to embrace each other's changes and adjust to those changes and make a life together with those changes. But when that is just one-sided, that doesn't work. Sometimes agape love has to be experienced at a distance. Maybe you do need to be divorced so you can at least agape love them.
And I don't know. As I got older too, I'm thinking that the do us apart. To me, I still have a problem with that, in the sense that the church have weaponized that, and
absolutely,
and have people have stayed in relationships that are like really, really awful relationships, because I don't think God wants you to be in any. I don't know if you can grow in in a relationship like that and become your own self. I don't know.
There sometimes relationships are not equal.
Most
where
of the times
one consumes the other, and in those kinds of relationships, that dynamic cannot continue if that relationship has any future, and if that's what one partner demands, to be the dominant, and the other one is not able to be a person because of that, then there has to be a change. The idea that you have to do anything is a bit overzealous. It's unrealistic. There are situations when people just don't have the ability to do certain things, and you have to be able to embrace them and love them in that context. You can't make things better for them, but you can encourage them to do whatever they can to make it better for themselves.
And I was thinking about love. I spoke to you about this abroad. Love, when it comes to understanding, and you said something, you cannot love other people till you learn how to love yourself. But if you don't know how to love yourself, that is my question. How do you learn to love yourself in a healthy way if you maybe grow up in a toxic family? I'm thinking even of leadership, and I'm gonna go that way. leadership, people that leaders today in the world. I'm thinking of the president of North Korea. You know, he's not a president. He's a dictator. He was passed on from his grandfather to his dad, and we have people like that leading in the world. People that really has not go outside of this bubble, and it is dangerous. Even here in the United States, we're looking right now a situation with the Congress and the debt ceiling, you know, that they live in this bubble, and they really don't understand. I don't know. If I was to run as a politician, is to change people, is to bring people together, is to love the environment, is to love everyone and be concerned of everyone's well-being. Is you are the president of any country, there shouldn't be a division between the people that you serve in, because you serve in them, and it means that you are gonna govern. Even you have to put that kind of compassion and love with people too. You know,
Yes.
and you have to look at the environment. You have to, even today, I know in the Dakotas, I hope Menassi, I want to bring him back to the show too.
Yeah.
Yes, there is a fight about land.
Dennis Ford.
Oh, about land, my brother, about land, and water. You know. These are the native that own the land, and now they have to fight with the government for their land and water.
Yeah.
How and a lot of times people tell me, why you don't run? I said, well, no, I'm not gonna run. 1, 2, because I don't know I'm gonna be that fair. I'm going to look at everything abroad, and I'm going to embrace people in that way of loving everybody and looking at people differently. You know, I don't know if I can do that. I honestly don't. You know, so when it comes to love, and even Jesus had to go back and forth with the governing. And he scolded people that was in the church, and he scolded also the governors that in the Romans and all of that. And he even told people, you got to give to Caesar what belongs to Caesar, because that's the law. Yeah. But how do we do that connection with having more people that are in leadership that come in with that compassion and come in? Because one of the things that, and I think a lot of times people change too. I was thinking about these Ocasio-Cortez and all these ladies that are from the progressive caucus, that they are almost not fighting like when they just started. You know, it's almost like they're becoming more part of the establishment. Maybe the Democratic Party told them, you know, you just have to run with the current and not try to do anything outside. Just do what you need to do to keep and stay here. How do we look more at, because I'm looking more at people in leadership that are not people that are for the people.
Mm-hmm. Well, unfortunately, leaders tend to reflect us. So,
wow.
The people who vote for them,
wow.
the people who vote them in,
wow.
Choose the closest to whatever it is that they value. And too often, those things that really make a difference are not valued. You know, we look at Trump, you know, for the church world to vote for Trump. What does that tell us about the values of church. The values go as deep as a couple issues. The fact that the man cannot tell the truth. The fact that the man is completely consumed with what works best for him. The fact that he doesn't care about the emolument clause, that he's not supposed to be enriched by being president or his family. I mean, all of that means so little that we're willing to vote for him because of abortion.
And taking people and taking people free will, because that's they're taking more from being your the rights that God give you to choose.
Right. Well, and and even we've talked about abortion. Abortion is a very complicated issue. I want to save the most lives that I possibly can. But being pro-abortion with no conditions is not pro-life. Because sometimes an abortion is necessary to save the life of the mother. And if the mother's not there, is there guarantee that the child is going to have quality of life? In some cases, not. In some cases, the dad is the one that's going to get the child, and the dad could care less. And so we're raising a child who does not know love, does not know community values, because dad doesn't care about any of it. The thing about love is not, it's messy, and it's not predictable. You can't say for a married couple to stay together means that they have chosen love. Sometimes staying together is just an issue of convenience.
Yes, and I was thinking about. I find people that even in the church that when I became a Christian, I know that I like to read, so I read the Bible, and for some reason I don't forget scripture. I don't read the Bible today like I used to, but I find myself with a lot of people that they go to church and they don't read the Bible, and even when they read the Bible, they I don't know if they just take it as it is, and they don't let it. For me, reading the Bible, I thought the Bible for me was everything that was in the Bible was good, but today I see is a book that tells you stories about the human nature and God and the relationship between God and man. That's what the Bible is to me. Yeah. And it shows human nature and God. But for me today, I question everything. Even then, I question stuff. I think people don't question. And then you hear all these politicians that use the Bible, and they just repeat it, and they think because somebody, you even as the Bible from Genesis to Apocalypse. Revelation, yeah, it's in Spanish. I said it in Spanish. It doesn't mean that person. I don't. And I was talking about that with somebody the other day. I was talking with Chris. I said there is people that they don't believe in God. People that are how do you call they have the name? Atheists. And they better people than people that go to church. They have people that are very evil. I think sometimes so the twisted way that people leadership uses church and God to kill people and to control and manipulate, and you don't have this little thing inside, this wiring that telling you this is wrong. You don't have to. You don't have to. I mean, they use the Bible to lynch people. They use the Bible to enslave people. And I don't know, they use the Bible in the Holocaust.
Right.
And I don't know how you cannot have that wiring that's telling you this is not right.
Yeah.
This is not right. You read the Bible, and I will question God, because I remember questioning God about Africa. I said, why it is that there's so much suffering in Africa? You know, you question. It's the human nature that always, twists everything. You know, we have a way of twisting things. Yeah. But and then we use God's word, and we use God. And even in the Bible, there's things that I absolutely would not believe. I don't care what people said. I don't believe it. I don't believe that God would put men above women. I don't believe that God would tell somebody to obey your owner. Yes. I can't believe that the God that I believe and love would do that.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
Well, there's three mistakes that people can easily make when they read the Bible. Number one comes with the concept of inerrancy. We tend to understand the Bible is inerrant in the sense that everything in the Bible is completely flat. Everything is equally relevant as everything else.
So it's black and white, nothing in between.
So so we read these stories, and it's like everybody in the Bible is a saint.
Yeah.
And so everything in the Bible is something that we should be practicing.
I started like that. I started reading it like that, and then I realized, no, wait a minute.
I believe in inerrancy in the regard that everything that's in the Bible, God intended to be there. And it accurately represents the mindsets of the people at that time and in those situations. It doesn't justify the mindsets. It doesn't say those mindsets are correct. Mm-hmm. It just says that God didn't lie about that story. That's really how people felt. That's really, the perceptions that were happening. But those perceptions may not have been correct. We have to understand the context of all of this stuff. There is a lot of really bad theology that's promoted in the Bible.
I know.
God intended it to be there.
I know. Yes.
Us to be able to use our brains and figure out, hey, wait a minute.
Yes.
There's something wrong with that guy's perspective. Mm-hmm. He may think that God said that, but that doesn't sound right.
Yes.
Why doesn't it sound right? What is wrong with it? What is influencing his perception that is God's word?
And I was thinking about my mom. This Friday, I went to my friend. I have a friend that he just got married, Erasmo and Dylan, and they just get married, and I'm so happy they got married. I was telling my mom, she called me, and I said, oh, I'm going to this wedding, and two guys are getting married. My mom first, and she said, yes, you should be participating and stuff like that, because you're going to go to hell with those people. And I said, I didn't argue with her, and I said, he is my friend, and I want to go. That's as simple as that is. Mm-hmm. And again, I can't believe that people would think that a father, because I see God as my father. I always embraced him. I was my father. will want to punish me for forever. There's nothing that you can do, I think, that you deserve to be in hell for eternity. And this notion that loving God is just completely wrong, Pastor Dennis. Talk a little bit about that. Talk about love and talk about. I feel that I'm a little speck, a little snowflake of God love, of His reflection. I feel that way. I feel that I have not learned yet to love myself the way God loved me. I feel that even to me that is even denying a little bit of Him when I don't see the way He see me, But I'm getting there. But I know that I am a reflection of His love. I know that wanting to impact and change even one person in my life in a way that they can say, you know what, this person came across my life and changed my life or said something to me, that to me is more important than going to church or reading the Bible or scolding people. So talk a little bit about this concept of hell and of a loving Father, of loving God.
Well, first of all, love, the basis of love is, as the Bible talks about, believing the highest. Okay? The idea of believing the highest doesn't allow for the embracement that some people are born evil. It requires us to believe the highest,
I like that.
in the situation. You know what I'm saying? Also, love is relentless. It never gives up. Even when it looks like the person is hopeless, God never gives up. He still pursues it. When we talk about the God being angry, we tend to distort that into a God that's irrational and punitive and all of that stuff. But the concept of God being angry is He knows what you are capable of, and it's a level of desperation that you refuse or cannot achieve that. You cannot put love first. You have to put, you have to give up on life, so to speak, and not being able to believe that your neighbor really can love you, and that your wife can love you, or that your children can love you, or whatever. We can easily become the victims of our own limitations, and that's how we become evil. Is we cannot see the good in life. We only see the selfishness in life, and we embrace the selfishness in life, and that's the doorway to evil, because then everything becomes, everybody's against me, everybody's against each other. The only way to survive in this life is to kill you before you kill me.
Wow.
And that's the definition of evil. And we are in that place right now.
Yes.
The church has given up on the world's ability to be transformed, and the ability to feel love and experience love from people that we don't acknowledge as rich, as religious. The church has gotten to the place where I can't believe I'm a Baptist and I can't believe that a Catholic can be saved. I can't believe someone from the Orthodox Church can be saved. I don't believe a Mormon can be saved. I mean, if we can't believe them to be saved, how, what hope do we have for, someone that's so much further different than us, than that? Does that make sense?
Yes, and I was thinking
We're very conditional in our thinking,
and
we're giving ourselves over to evil, and so in doing that.
And tribalism, that's your word.
Yes,
that's your word. But I was thinking again, I'm grateful to God in the sense that He uprooted me from my country and my tribe, so I could see the world differently. That I see, I'm not living in this bubble, and I don't think I think some people are born to see things differently. I want to say that that I see people as part of a human race. We are all in this same, we at the end of the day we all want the same things. And and the number one thing that we want to be loved. We want to be seen, like really seen, and we want to be heard. So I think if the church created a big problem when they created this tribalism and this bubble of people, to manipulate control based on fear. And I said, I know my mom probably won't pull her hair. She'll hear me. I think the church has been one of the worst things that happened to humanity.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, the church somewhere along the line, and I shouldn't say somewhere along the line, when we became a Catholic institution is where it really happened, where we embraced the idea that a human could become God. And so, or demigod, demigod is partial God. That's, but when we put ourselves in the position of a judge, we are putting ourselves in the position of God. We cannot know another's heart. And when we act like we can, we are de facto gods when we do that. And so we have a problem with the whole idea. In the church world, sometimes you hear reference to, well, he's a universalist or she's a universalist. I think Christians should be defined as being universalists.
Oh, what does that mean? That's the first time I hear that.
Is a reference generally. I mean, there's two different versions of universalism. One is that I don't believe anybody is outside of the reach of God. That's one version of universalism.
Yes.
The other universalism is everyone is saved regardless. Okay. For anybody to think that they are God and they can declare that, they're not a Christian anyway. So, if you think that you can make a judgment about everybody that lives, you're deluded anyway.
So that happens? It's happening today?
It's a huge issue in conservative churches. The idea of whether someone is a universalist or not.
Oh, wow.
And I struggle with it because I hear people ask me, well, are you universalist? Well, I'm not God, so I'm not a universalist in that way. But absolutely, I am universalist because I believe everybody is.
Well, yes. I was a little bit confused. I was a little bit confused because then I am a universalist too.
Absolutely.
Yes, I don't. Again, you don't know. You don't know
Yeah.
what happened to that person to become who they are.
Right.
You don't
and
know.
with this desperate need to have conservatives and liberals and put people into two camps, we take biblical concepts and recreate distortions of them so that there is a version that a conservative can have and a version that makes you a liberal. Well, that's not a biblical concept. Conservative and liberal is our culture's concept. There's no such thing. You know, Jesus told us to be liberal in our love. He told us to be liberal in our generosity. He told us to be liberal in our acceptance of others. You know, so, you know.
And I like the story of the Samaritan woman. You remember the woman that he sent the disciples to go get food, and he went to the well, and he met this woman, and he told her.
Oh, the Samaritan woman?
Yes, and I love this story because it doesn't tell her name. It doesn't say her name nor anything. But I love it because he knew. I feel in my head, I can write a story about that. I feel in my head that he knew that the disciples was going to judge her. He knew because of where she was, and she was getting water, and who she was. So he had to have this one-on-one conversation with her. And I don't think when he told her her story, it was judging her. I think he told her, I see you and I hear you.
Yes.
Yeah, I see you and I hear you and I don't judge you.
Yeah.
Yes, I love that story.
You know, there's a lot of people that believe that story is Mary Magdalene.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And she was one of the first ones that went to his.
She was a prostitute, and that's what the woman at the well was a prostitute. They could have been two different women. But a lot of people think that they are the same, one and the same.
Well, no, the Bible don't say that she was a prostitute. The Bible said that she had 5 men or husbands or something like that, and
the one that she lives with, she's not married to.
Yes, but
that in some contexts is a prostitute.
Oh my God. Anyway, so I love that story. That's probably one of my favorite stories about the Bible, because he had to be one-on-one with her. I think the disciples would be a distraction. And I feel that he wanted her to know that I see you and I hear you, and it impacted her life that she went back and told people, I met this man, you know. I think he was a revolutionary. I think he hated injustice. And he could see through people. When he went to in front of the church and throw the tables and everything, because and we live in this today. It is amazing that we live in this, and that's why I said the Bible is a book of stories of human nature, that we have not changed. You know, we have not changed, because in those days the church was just lucrating from the poor people. And he said, what are you doing? Why are you taking money from these people that are poor
Right.
and becoming rich?
Right.
So if human nature have not changed.
Yeah. No. No. And that was the big thing that Jesus really pointed out, was the religious leaders had stopped being religious. They had become controllers. They were all about entrapping people in inconsistencies, and instead of caring for their spiritual well-being. Does that make sense?
It make and it done. I think for me personally, my spiritual being has to be my responsibility, because for me, my life story is very different than yours. So to take somebody and take a lot of people and try to have this pastor or priest taking care of my relationship with God is just not. I don't think, and I think that's what people think the church is.
Yeah.
When my mom tells me you need to go to church, she feels because I'm not part of this organized religion, I have no relationship with God, because that is what gives you validation of being saved or having a relationship with God. And you have other people responsible of your spiritual relationship with God or your spiritual being. I don't think that is, I think you said it when the Catholic Church came, and nobody else could read the Bible but them, because they wanted to say what they wanted to say, till the Bible came to everyone. But the Bible, I can read the same scripture. Like I told you, I just read this scripture and I love this scripture. And to me, it means something very different than it means to you. I mean, you thought she was a prostitute. I still don't think she was. I still don't think she was. So
I'm not necessarily saying I definitely believe that. I'm just bringing that up. That is out there. There's a lot of things in the scripture I don't have a position on.
Yes. So
because I don't think there's enough information to have that.
Yes. So I'm thinking, I'm grateful to God also that I didn't get stuck in this bubble. I didn't get stuck, that I am free and I have to take the responsibility of having this relationship with God, and based on my story, based on the way I see him, based on the relationship, based on everything personal, because this is personal. So when the church say, personal relationship with Jesus, but they are really controlling the whole thing. They're telling people what it looks like. And if it doesn't look like this, then something is wrong.
They've created a cookie cutter.
Yes. So, and for everybody, it's different, because everybody's life is different. The experience in life is different. And you said it right. They created a trap for people.
The concept of pastor is more of a concept of accountability. We all, if we want to get somewhere, we should be picking people that we are accountable to, that can say, hey, you're telling yourself a story that's not real. You need to rethink that. You know what I'm saying? Because we tend to be self-deluded, and it helps to have people in our life to say, wait a minute, are you really sure that's what you meant when you said that? Is that really how you feel? Because this doesn't seem to match that, you know, that kind of thing. It's not an appointed position. It is an issue of relationship.
I think it is, but I also think that the pastor and the leadership have put themselves like God, and they're sitting in a throne like God, and
Well,
and there's not that connection with not even with the community that they serve. So we have pastors that serve communities that they don't live in the community. So how can you serve a community that you don't know anything about them? It's same thing. I don't know. So
well, my reference to pastor was not as is practiced today. I was talking more from the biblical concept.
okay.
The church structure we have today is completely cultural.
Yeah, because
Okay, before the 400s, the 300, the late 300s, and 400 beyond, the primary way that Christians met together was community bathing or meals, what Bible refers to as love feasts.
mhm.
Those were the two most common ways that people met together. Meeting in a meeting like we define it today, in a church service, that really didn't exist back then.
Oh wow, I didn't know that.
That came with the Catholics.
Huh.
It didn't really
Interesting.
even exist in Jewish days, because the Jewish concept was that they had the temple, and people would come for specific events, and people would come for specific reasons, and as they determined it needed to happen, they would come to give offerings because they felt guilty, or they had wronged somebody or whatever. They would come for the festival day that were established, and they would come. But other than that, a weekly gathering, they might come to the synagogue or the temple for on a weekly basis, and they might get into a discussion about what the Bible said here, or what this practice was here, or what that was. More of a small group type of a thing. But a service where people sang and people got up and preached, no, that's a New Testament creation.
I know, and don't get me wrong. I don't think it is a bad thing to come to be a community. I don't think it's a bad thing to do that. I just think it's got twisted. The reason why our people are coming and is just lucrative for some people, and for other people are not.
Yeah.
And it is sad to see a pastor asking money to buy a personal jet when the people in his church have to take the bus to go. It's just to me, that's just crazy.
Yeah.
And have people still going to the church based on fear. Is it just based on fear? They're controlling and manipulating people based on fear. So it's not a bad thing to always come together and as a community and worship God, but it got twisted again. That is a big, I call it corporate religion.
Yeah. Well, the church structure that we have, services like we have today, they happened because the church got too large to meet around a kitchen table too large to meet in a bath context, or whatever. And so they started meeting, in more of a structured environment. But even then, they were more Anabaptist. They didn't really have a pastor. And the Anabaptists don't have pastors.
No, I don't know what is Anabaptist.
Anabaptist is a Christian tradition that it's one of the oldest traditions that we have. I think it's as old as the Catholic Church is.
Wow.
But they rejected the Catholic idea of formalizing things, and they remained a community of believers instead of formal congregation.
Oh, but I'm thinking these churches, they got full, and they had people coming to the churches because of based on fear. Again, let's go back to going to hell. So we had everybody, and I was talking to I'm gonna mention Christian here, that our generation, my son generation and his kids generation, can see through through the lines when it comes to church. My son went to Church for All Nations, and my son doesn't believe in God, but he told me that, maybe to shock me, but I said, not believing and denying its existence is two different things,
Right.
It's saying, personally, I don't want to do this or believe in him, but it doesn't mean that he's not there. It's
Yeah.
two different things. And I know your daughter, generation 2, is about the same, that they don't believe in God. They can see the writing in the wall when it comes to the church. And it is sad.
Well, there is a variance in how people communicate where they really stand. Some people use "I don't believe in God" when they mean "I don't believe in the version of God that you believe in."
Wow.
That doesn't mean they don't believe in God. They just don't believe in your version. My daughter is not one that claims to not believe in God. She believes in God, but she also knows that we don't have those rigid views of God that she's rejected. So it's not, for her, it's she doesn't have to use that term atheist or reference that concept. But there are, I've spoken with a lot of atheists that when you really get down to it, they don't disbelieve in God. They just don't believe in the evangelical or the fundamentalist version of God. They believe in a completely a far more open and far more generous and far more universal God than a God of a specific tribe.
So, we almost done. What would you, for you, personally for you, what it is that love look like to you?
To me, love is accepting people where they are, believing the highest about their reasons for what they believe or what they do. Okay, and being able to be there to help them when they ask for assistance to better their lives, but not presume what is better for them, but trust that God wants the best for them, and God will guide them in that. And he's not going to tell me something for them that he's not going to tell them.
Wow,
So
I like that.
them lead the way, because
Yes.
I trust that God has designed it that way. That if he really needed to make a point to them, it would be really obvious to them, and we would see the evidence of it in how they reacted.
For me, I love when for me is seeing you, really, really seeing you,
Yes.
seeing you, you know, and I'm still working on not judging. It's kind of hard.
We all are.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to do, but for me is seeing you, and I would say, I think I was telling this little young girl yesterday. I said, we here in this time and moment for a reason. So everybody that is here, it is because they are needed in this time and moment. I think if I'm not here, maybe the world would be tilt, because I have to be here for this time and moment. And I think that's what love is. That everybody that is here is because they have something to bring in this time and moment.
Exactly.
You know, and so and just, I don't like to use the word let people, because I can't let you. You are who you are. Just be, you know. So that's what for me love is. Still in progress. I'm still in progress of loving myself and loving other people, learning how to do that. But for everyone that is listening and watching the show Siembra here on VT Radio Universal, you know, love, I think when I think of love, I think of a heart, because that's what represents a care in this world. And that's what we need to realize, that we are just one part of the human race, and that you are my brother and my sister, and yes, you are the keepers of my sister and my brother, and that we are connected, not just connected with human beings, but let's think about the animals, let's think about the environment, let's think of all this. The Bible say that there, and I want Pastor you to say John 3:16. The Bible
For God
says,
so loved the world that he gave his only Son, that whosoever believes in him would have everlasting life.
and I think when God said that, it means, look at this little ball, blue ball, because it's most water. He sit down and created this world thinking about you. He
Yes.
was thinking about you when he created this world. We are responsible, and we are brother and sister keepers. Yes, we are the environment keepers, the animal keepers. We
Yes.
need to come as a whole and look at everything. Why are we here, and what is our mission here? And that's what love means. Not just to belong to one little group. That's okay if you want to do that. But the reason here collectively is to make our lives better. To not trying to change anybody, you know, not trying that I can see beyond. I'm an Afro Latina, come from Panama, sitting here with this Scandinavian, you for a Scandinavian white pastor, you know, and we don't agree in everything, right?
What?
But this is what it is. We know we have to come together to make it, you know, to put that word of love you know, that goes behind color and culture, all those different gender, all those different things. So Pastor Dennis, thank you. I know it took a long time to do this show. Thank you, and God bless, and I love you too for sitting with me this long at VT Radio Universal. And we have Mr. Chris right here.
Yes.
Bless you all, and thanks for being on the show. And thank you, Chris.
You're welcome. Always a pleasure. Thank you, Pastor.
Okay, Pastor Dennis, God bless. Bye.